You think you miss them, but what you are feeling is withdrawal. And that distinction is the difference between getting them back and losing yourself again. Missing someone is usually a soft ache. Withdrawal is an alarm. Withdrawal feels urgent, physical, obsessive. Withdrawal makes you check your phone like it is life support. Withdrawal makes silence feel like danger. Withdrawal makes you want to send the text that destroys your leverage, not because it is wise, but because it would give your nervous system a temporary hit of relief. And here is the most important part. In avoidant dynamics, withdrawal is not proof that they were your person. It is proof that your nervous system learned to equate inconsistency with relief. You do not miss them the way you miss stable love. You miss the spike. You miss the hit. You miss the moment they returned and your body stopped panicking for 5 minutes. That is not romance. That is a reward system. If you treat withdrawal like love, you will chase. You will over-explain. You will bargain. You will accept crumbs. You will teach them that distance costs nothing and access is always free. And if your goal is to get an avoidant back, that is the worst training you can give them. So we are going to get very clear, very strategic, and very calm. Not dramatic, not motivational, just accurate. Withdrawal has a signature. It comes with thoughts that feel true, but they are actually symptoms. The first symptom thought is, I just need one conversation. That is withdrawal trying to get a dose. The second is, if I say it the right way, they will finally understand. That is withdrawal trying to regain control. The third is, if I do not fix this now, I will lose them forever. That is withdrawal using fear to force action. The fourth is, maybe they are hurting too. Maybe they miss me. Maybe they are thinking about me. That is withdrawal keeping the door open so you do not detach. And the fifth is the most dangerous thought of all, the one that makes you betray yourself. I cannot breathe unless they choose me. That one is not love. That one is dependency created by intermittent reinforcement. Now, I know what you want. You do not want to be told to move on. You want to understand the mechanism so you stop sabotaging the outcome you want. You want them back, and you want them back in a way that does not return you to the same anxious loop. So we have to stop treating your urge as a romantic message. The urge is a chemical signal. It is your system coming off a pattern of high-intensity, low-safety connection. It is your brain coming off dopamine spikes from unpredictability. It is your attachment system coming off a relationship where closeness was inconsistent, so your body learned to work for it. When the supply stops, your system does not calmly accept it. It protests, it panics, it tries to restore the pattern. That protest is what you call missing them. And once you see that clearly, you stop letting your withdrawal drive your behavior. Because the brutal truth is this: when you are in withdrawal, you do the very things that make an avoidant stay avoidant. You send the paragraph. You ask for reassurance. You demand clarity while your nervous system is on fire. You react to breadcrumbs like they are a return. You accept half-presence because half-presence temporarily calms you. And every one of those moves trains the avoidant to keep you on the hook. Not always intentionally, but functionally. So if you want them back, you need a plan that gives your nervous system relief without giving them access for free. You need a plan that keeps you steady enough to be attractive to an avoidant system and firm enough to create consequence. Avoidants move closer when two conditions exist at the same time: safety and consequence. Safety means coming closer will not lead to humiliation, control, or emotional flooding. Consequence means distance costs them something real, which is access. If you only give consequence with coldness, they run. If you only give safety with endless understanding, they relax into distance. You need both. Calm warmth, low access. Clear, not emotional. Stable, not needy. That combination is what flips the dynamic. Now, let's make this simple and practical. There are 3 layers to withdrawal in avoidant bonds. The first layer is the body layer. You feel tension. You feel urgency. Your sleep changes. Your appetite changes. You feel restless. This layer makes you want to act. The second layer is the story layer. Your mind starts writing a movie. You replay moments. You idealize the highs. You minimize the lows. You suddenly believe one message will fix everything. The third layer is the identity layer. You start asking, what is wrong with me? Why was I not chosen? What does this mean about my worth? This layer is what makes you collapse and chase. If you want them back, you must stop making withdrawal mean something about you. You must treat it like a state that passes, and a state you can manage with strategy. Because if you can manage the state, you can keep your behavior clean. And clean behavior is what creates the conditions for a real return. Now, here is why withdrawal is so intense with avoidance specifically. Because avoidant bonds rarely end cleanly. They fade. They drift. They go quiet. They breadcrumb. They keep a thread alive. That thread is poison for your nervous system. It prevents closure while still stimulating hope. And hope attached to inconsistency is not hope. It is a leash. It keeps you emotionally available, waiting for a version of them that appears sometimes and disappears when closeness becomes real. So the first rule if you want them back is this: stop letting the thread control you. Do not chase the thread. Do not pull the thread. Do not talk to the thread. You require the full person. Because here is what an avoidant will do if you keep interacting with breadcrumbs. They will keep giving breadcrumbs, and you will keep feeling withdrawal, and the dynamic will never shift. The shift only happens when you change the reward structure. That is what we are doing. We are changing what gets rewarded. Inconsistency stops getting rewarded. Clarity gets rewarded. Consistency gets rewarded. Effort gets rewarded. Repair gets rewarded. Attention without behavior gets nothing. Not anger, not drama, just nothing meaningful. Now, let's be even more direct. Your goal is not to erase your feelings. Your goal is to stop leaking your power through your feelings. Because you can want them back and still be strategic. You can miss them and still be calm. You can feel the wave and not chase. That is the skill. The wave is the key concept here, because withdrawal comes in waves. Every wave has a peak. Most people break at the peak. They text at the peak. They stalk at the peak. They post at the peak. Then the wave collapses and they feel ashamed. So you need one rule that changes everything. You do not act at the peak. You let the peak pass. Because every time you survive a peak without chasing, you teach your nervous system a new truth. I can feel this and still hold my frame. That one skill is what keeps you from sabotaging the return. And it also makes you more magnetic to an avoidant system, because avoidants are drawn to steadiness. They do not bond through pleading. They bond through safety and respect. Now, let's talk about what getting them back actually requires, because this is where most people are dishonest with themselves. They want the avoidant back, but they want them back with no change. They want relief. They want the hit. They want the old pattern to resume, just with a little more reassurance. That is not a real return. A real return is when they move toward consistency. A real return is when they show up with behavior, not just attention. Attention is cheap. Accountability is rare. Attention is a text. Accountability is a plan. Attention is watching your story. Accountability is calling to repair. Attention is nostalgia. Accountability is consistency over time. So the question is not, can you get them back? The question is, can you get them back differently? That depends on whether you change what you reward. So here is the strategy. You stop rewarding low-effort contact. You stop rewarding vagueness. You stop rewarding late-night loneliness. You stop rewarding casual check-ins that do not lead anywhere. You respond warmly, but briefly. You mirror effort. You do not flood. You do not ask for reassurance. You do not interrogate. You do not try to lock them down in one conversation. Because if you do, you will trigger their fear, and they will vanish again. So you keep it steady and slow. You let them come forward, and you watch what they do. If they keep it light and vague, you keep it light and brief. If they move toward clarity, you meet it. If they avoid, you do not chase. That is how you stop being the person who can be accessed without responsibility. Now, let's handle the scenario that usually destroys people. They come back, and you feel relief. And the relief is so strong that you rush in and you flood the connection. You say, finally. You share everything. You confess how much you suffered. You demand reassurance. You ask, where were you? You try to secure the bond instantly because you are terrified they will disappear again. But the instant you do that, you recreate pressure. And pressure makes an avoidant pull away. So the way to get them back is to not reward the return itself. You reward the staying. You reward the follow-through. You reward consistency. You reward repair. You meet the return with calm, not cold, calm. You stay stable. You do not punish. You do not collapse. You keep your nervous system out of the driver's seat. And that is how you turn a return into a relationship shift. Now, I want to give you a clean decision rule that will stop your withdrawal from turning into action. Here it is. Do not respond to anything that keeps you in confusion. Respond only to what moves toward clarity. If their message pulls you into the old loop of decoding, do not go there. If their message moves toward real closeness, you can meet it. This is not cruelty. This is accuracy. Because confusion is the drug. Clarity is the antidote. And if you want them back, you want them to come back into clarity, not into the confusion that lets them stay half in and half out. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake people make with withdrawal. They try to solve the feeling by solving the person. They think, if I understand them enough, if I explain enough, if I say it perfectly, I can stop feeling this way. But withdrawal is not solved by explanation. Withdrawal is solved by time. and by removing the reward from inconsistency. And you will not like hearing time because you want an outcome. So let's make time useful. The first 72 hours after a rupture or a silent pullback are the most dangerous hours for your behavior. That is when your nervous system will try to force contact. That is when you will rationalize chasing as closure. That is when you will be tempted to send a message that gives them relief and gives you regret. So in those hours, your only job is to not act at the peak. If you can do that, your behavior stays clean. And your clean behavior is what allows the avoidant to feel the real absence. Because if you keep poking them, there is no absence. They do not have to feel the cost. They only feel pressure. And pressure does not create pursuit. Pressure creates retreat. Now, there is another reason you confuse withdrawal with love. Your brain edits the movie. It deletes the pain and highlights the highs. You remember the way they looked at you. You remember the good morning that felt like heaven. You remember the one night they were soft. You remember the chemistry. And you forget the hours of confusion. You forget the self-doubt. You forget the way you had to earn basic presence. Your brain does this because it is trying to restore the reward. So, here is the mental correction that keeps you strategic. When you feel the urge, do not ask, "Do I love them?" Ask, "What is my nervous system trying to get right now? Is it trying to get closeness, or is it trying to get relief from anxiety?" Because relief is not closeness. Relief is the feeling of threat stopping. And avoidant dynamics train your body to treat their return as threat stopping. That is why it feels like oxygen. But oxygen is not intimacy. Oxygen is just the removal of panic. So your mission is to stop paying for oxygen with your dignity. Because once you stop paying, you stop training them to offer you air instead of love. Now, let's turn this into a clear set of rules that increase the chance of getting them back. Rule 1. Do not chase silence. Silence is either space or avoidance. If it is space, they will return with clarity. If it is avoidance, chasing makes it worse. Rule 2. Do not negotiate for basic presence. If you have to convince, you are already losing leverage. Rule 3. Do not accept breadcrumbs as proof. Breadcrumbs are not closeness. Breadcrumbs are a test of access. Rule 4. Mirror effort. Warm and brief is powerful. Warm and flooded is weak. Rule 5. Reward behavior, not attention. If they make plans and follow through, you meet that. If they hover and watch and send vague messages, you do not make it meaningful. Now, I can hear the fear in this. What if I do this and they never come back? Here is what you need to understand. If you keep chasing, you still might not get them back, but you will definitely train them to keep you available without changing. If you stop chasing, you create the only environment where a real return is possible. Because a real return requires them to feel the cost of distance, and they cannot feel the cost if you keep providing emotional labor. So, stopping the chase is not giving up. It is creating the conditions for a different outcome. Now, let's address what happens inside the avoidant when you stop feeding the loop, because it will stop you from panicking when you do not see immediate results. At first, they feel relief. The pressure is gone. They tell themselves, "You are fine." They tell themselves, "You are busy." They tell themselves, "It will blow over." This is why the first days can look like nothing. Do not confuse that with failure.
Then they start noticing the absence. Behaviorally. You are not initiating, you are not reacting, You are not available. That creates discomfort because their pattern is management. They manage intimacy by controlling access. When your access changes, their management system loses a piece. Then they test. A small ping, a casual message, a nostalgic memory. If you rush in, they feel safe and they retreat. If you stay calm, the discomfort stays, and it turns into thought. They start thinking about you. When they start thinking about you, they start feeling. And here is the twist. For some avoidants, feeling triggers fear. So they may go quiet right as they begin to miss you. That is the moment you must not chase. Because if you chase in that moment, you teach them that fear works. You teach them that withdrawal produces pursuit. And that is the loop you are trying to break. So you let their silence sit. You let the discomfort do its work. You stay steady. And steady is what makes them come back differently, if they are capable. Now, what about you in the meantime? Because you cannot run a strategy if your nervous system is collapsing. So you need one internal rule that keeps you calm without telling you to forget them. Here it is. You do not need to know what they feel. You need to know what their pattern does to you. Because this is where people get trapped. They treat unspoken feelings like a secret love story. They treat silence like depth. They treat intensity like intimacy. But your goal is to get them back in a way that leads to stability, not just a moment. So you judge outcomes. Did you feel safe? Did you feel calm? Did you feel valued? Did you feel chosen without having to beg? If the answer is no, then the strategy is not to extract more words. The strategy is to require more behavior. That is what shifts the dynamic. And yes, that increases the chance of getting an avoidant back because it removes the comfort of half access. It forces a choice. Now, let's talk about the one move that ruins your leverage more than any other. The long, emotional message. The message where you explain your pain and ask them to see you. That message feels honest. It feels mature. It feels like closure. But in an avoidant system, it often reads as pressure and expectation. They feel responsible for your emotional state, and responsibility triggers fear. Fear triggers withdrawal. Withdrawal triggers your withdrawal, and then you chase again. So if you want them back, you keep your communication light, clean, and behavior-focused. You do not speak from panic. You do not speak from craving. You speak from calm. Because calm is the only language an avoidant can approach without feeling trapped. Now, I want to give you the cleanest test that ends withdrawal spirals quickly. If nothing changed for the next 6 months, would you feel safe? Would you feel valued? Would you feel calm? If the answer is no, you are not waiting for love. You are waiting for a person to become a different person. And you cannot build your life on a maybe that requires someone else to transform. That is not a speech about moving on. That is a reality check that protects your leverage. Because when you accept that, your body stops begging for crumbs. Your body starts requiring safety. And safety is what makes you behave in a way that an avoidant either respects and moves toward or cannot meet. Both outcomes reduce your withdrawal. Because withdrawal is fed by uncertainty and negotiation. When you stop negotiating, withdrawal loses fuel. Now, we are going to close this in the most useful way. You do not need less love. You need less reinforcement of the panic loop. You do not need a perfect message. You need a changed reward structure. You do not need to become cold. You need to become steady. Withdrawal will tell you that reaching out is the only way to feel better. That is the oldest lie in avoidant dynamics. The truth is, the more you reach from withdrawal, the more you extend withdrawal. The faster you stop feeding it, the faster your nervous system stabilizes, and the more power you have to create the return you actually want. So the next time you feel the urge, name it correctly. This is withdrawal. Then, do the one thing that changes everything. Do not act at the peak. Let the wave pass. And if they return, do not reward attention. Reward consistency. Reward behavior. Reward repair. That is how you get them back without returning to the same trap. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.